From South Carolina Public Radio, this is the South Carolina Lede. I'm your host, Gavin Jackson, and this episode was recorded on October 31st, 2025 from South Carolina Public Radio Studios here in Columbia. Happy Halloween! Ooh, it's spooky in here. What are you wearing?
Excuse me?
It's your costume. On this episode of The Lead, we look at the federal government shutdown and the lapse in SNAP benefits and how the state is reacting to this and how it will affect 560,000 South Carolinians. Scott Morgan also brings us a special report on that as well. Republican gubernatorial candidate Attorney General Alan Wilson rolled out his Law and Order platform, and Winthrop University political science professor Scott Huffman breaks down the findings of his latest poll that gives us our first look at how the Republican gubernatorial primary is shaping up. And State Democratic Representative Jermaine Johnson jumps in the race for governor. You know, we got him jumping in the race. You guys can jump in the wind down. You can do that by calling 803-563-7169. We are falling back this weekend. Fall back with us. Share your favorite parts of time.
Excuse me.
Share your favorite memories of when the sun was out. You vampires. 803-563-7169. It's fall, y'all. It's day 31 of the federal government shutdown, and while there is no end in sight to this stalemate in the Senate or a willingness for the president, who is back from an Asian tour, to end it, millions of Americans are about to feel the pain as they lose access to food stamps as funding for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP benefits, runs out on Sunday. This also includes 560,000 South Carolinians. That's how many received SNAP benefits in September, totaling $104 million. In response to that, Governor Henry McMaster activated the 1SC Fund to allow for a coordinated charitable giving campaign dedicated to providing direct monetary assistance to regional food banks and local feeding partners across the state. But again, we're talking about a $104 million shortfall here. It's going to be a lot of money to make up. But in a press conference Tuesday, McMaster acknowledged that philanthropic support won't fully replace the money lost.
When we're here with these meetings and briefings, we are speaking about a disaster that we know is going to come. Well, this is a disaster that may come, but this is a disaster unlike the others that we can avoid. And we can do that by doing what we are prepared to do, and that's all the citizens working together to help those who need the help, who need food.
The 1SC Fund is administered by the Central Carolina Community Foundation in Columbia, and it was established in 2015 following Hurricane Joaquin with support from Governor Nikki Haley. And the fund serves as South Carolina's coordinated philanthropic response to disasters. So think hurricanes, natural disasters. Now we're talking about a food disaster caused by the federal government shutdown. 71% of SNAP recipients in the state are children and seniors, according to DSS Director Tony Catone, who also said that any money spent by the state to cover the SNAP funding shortfall would not be reimbursed by the federal government.
We've been informed that food banks and food pantries from our community partners are already experiencing increasing demand, and I think that's a good sign that people are planning ahead. But the need here will be great, and that's why we're grateful for Governor McMaster calling this press conference and the activation of the 1SC Fund by the Central Carolina Community Foundation.
And Aaron Rowe with Harvest Hope gave an overview of the challenges already facing hungry populations across the state and some of the logistics behind feeding those people.
South Carolinians do take care of each other, and that's what we're calling on right now. A lot of times the perception is food banks are funded by the state. We actually don't get funding from the state. We are 100% philanthropically driven, so we can only provide the food that is given to us and the support that is given to us. When we're looking at the shutdown, we are actually at a critically low food point right now. That typically happens this time of year, going into winter months, going into the holidays. So our shelves are pretty bare across all 3 three of my warehouses in Greenville, Florence, and Columbia. So we are actively looking for food resources. To purchase food is a 2 to 3 week lead time to get that tractor trailers of food into our facility. So I just want everybody to understand this isn't a light switch I can flip on tomorrow and fill up all three of my warehouses to address the 550,000 people that are going to be needing assistance in about a week's time. So we do ask that everybody comes together and that we do take care of our neighbors. This is a moment for us to step up because people need to eat, and I'm looking forward to us working together.
State House and Senate Democrats at a press conference on Wednesday denounced the lack of concrete action for those families relying on SNAP benefits. House Minority Leader Todd Rutherford of Columbia said state lawmakers need to show that they are not like Washington.
The answer is clear, and yes, we understand the law, we understand what the governor can and can't do, but we also recognize that this is a crisis. This is no different than, has already been described, a hurricane coming to South Carolina. We see it coming. We know it's coming. We know that children are going to be starving. We know that adults are going to have to make the decisions that we've all talked about, and we need to show that we are not Washington, D.C., that we are down to do the work of the people, and if that means coming into session to figure it out, then we, as a body, as Democrats, are willing to do that, and we'd ask Republicans to do the same. So while the governor can't make us come back, asking us to come back is the first step. The Speaker, the President Pro Tempore, deciding that it's important enough for us to figure out how to feed families is something that we're going to simply have to do. We are right now in the back discussing, have we talked to City Council? Have we talked to County Council? Do we know where the food banks are? Do we know where to tell people to go give food? It is that important, and we see it coming, and it's a train, and the light is on, and we're standing in that tunnel. We've got to do whatever we can.
In regards to being asked to return to session to deal with the situation, or if McMaster himself could declare a state of emergency, he said those options aren't realistic.
Even if I did declare a state of emergency, assuming that emergency exists, you have to meet certain criteria for that. This is certainly something that we're very worried about at this point. But that would only mean that there's no money, there's no pots of money that state of emergency declaration would open up. We don't have any for this. We don't have any for food. And the other alternative would be for the legislature to come back in. Well, since they are technically still in session, the way the sine die resolution works, I can't call them back in, and they would have to call themselves back in. But in that event, they'd have to appropriate money. And then for food, because there's nothing out there, even under an emergency declaration by me, that addresses food. So that's a long, tedious process that may produce nothing. So the best thing we have, and we're lucky to have it, because we've been through real crises before, we can avoid this one. We can avert this one by doing what has been requested here of our people.
With the Republican-controlled U.S. Senate unable to reach 60 votes to block a filibuster, President Donald Trump has called for the chamber to go nuclear and end the filibuster. Now, this has always been to the detriment of the ruling party and gives the minority party some power. See the Democrats here, and they're in the minority party right now. They don't have a majority, but they are kind of holding things hostage over these ACA credits. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune has no inclination of changing the filibuster. For a deeper look on the SNAP funding issue at the state level, we have this report from South Carolina Public Radio's Scott Morgan.
For every one meal provided from a food bank, 9 meals are provided through the federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. What that represented in dollars to South Carolina in just September was $104 million in SNAP funding.
On Saturday, more people will rely on the food banks, and the gap between 9 and 1 is pretty significant.
By Saturday, unless the federal government reopens or finds a solution to fund SNAP, almost 600,000 SNAP recipients in South Carolina will have federal food assistance cut off indefinitely. Kelsey Sanders is a grant program manager at Spartanburg Regional Foundation. She's also working with local nonprofit providers in Cherokee County on solutions for food and health insecurity there.
And so we're anticipating that there's going to be an increased burden on local food banks to provide that.
On Tuesday, Governor Henry McMaster made this announcement.
The Central Carolina Community Foundation has activated the 1SC fund to provide emergency monetary support to food banks and local feeding partners statewide.
The essential ask is that citizens step up to donate money that will go directly, at first, to the state's 4 major food banks, which then buy food and then get it to a network of as many as 900 smaller food pantries and soup kitchens and distribution sites all around South Carolina. That announcement was met with pretty cool response from food aid workers around the state, who, like the state Democratic Party, generally said that the message that encouraged philanthropy among neighbors is at least something, but not nearly enough. Here's Aaron Rowe, CEO of the state's largest food bank, Harvest Hope, speaking at that same press conference.
$100 million per month is not something that we've ever seen philanthropy raise in a week. It is going to take a statewide effort that is bigger than a philanthropy effort to fill in this gap that SNAP is leaving right now, because it's just we are not logistically made to address the sheer volume of need that's about to happen.
In Cherokee County, what's about to happen is that small food distribution outlets will be trying to get food out to a county where 1 in 5 households receive SNAP benefits.
The possibility of not having SNAP benefits awarded on November the 1st has really caused us as an entire community to take a look at what resources we have that could possibly supplement.
Libby Cheek is the coordinator for the Live Healthy Cherokee Coalition.
So all of your food pantries, your ministries, your blessing boxes, all those things already exist, but they are mostly at capacity as they are now.
And while Cheek says the looming SNAP crisis has already brought community members together to gather food for neighbors, there's no hiding from the many tendrils the federal shutdown has in the food needs space. Take Healthy Bucks.
60% of our clients do use SNAP.
Teresa Spires runs Cherokee County's only Healthy Bucks operation, which allows SNAP recipients to buy $20 worth of fresh fruits and vegetables for $5.
And it feeds a lot of families in our community. We're running around 100 boxes or so every 2 weeks.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture had previously said that every dollar spent on SNAP yields about $1.80 in return for the economy. Spires says that kind of ROI portends a gigantic loss for the state's economy.
SNAP benefits, to the things that the government helps people with in our community, provides money that is spent in this community that pays for other people to have jobs.
And even if an 11th hour save happens and federal spending gets approved, the state's food aid workers say the shutdown lays bare the deeper problem of a flawed system that was already in crisis before it got to this point, and that all these issues being discussed right now are going to come back with a bigger echo next year, when SNAP cuts under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act will have states deciding how or if they will pay for food assistance with a lot of their own money.
Thanks, Scott. You can find that piece and more at scpublicradio.org. Let's keep with the Scotts for a minute as we transition onto the campaign trail. Now, this Scott in question is also in Rock Hill. This one is Scott Huffman, Winthrop University political science professor and director of the Winthrop poll, which was out this week with a new poll and our first look at the governor's race, specifically where the 5 Republicans vying for their party's nomination sits. Here is Scott telling me on This Week in South Carolina what the poll found.
Well, essentially, Nancy Mace and Pamela Abbott are tied for first place. You know, they are within the margin of error of each other, so it's really incorrect to say either is ahead of the other. That means that Abbott has made up a lot of ground. You know, this is our first poll of likely voters, but previously we polled about name recognition, which is not the same. But what we found was Nancy Mace was just way beyond everybody else with name recognition. And so now Abbott is beginning to come back, at least among the crowd that really matters, and those are the people that are going to show up. The other change that we've seen from other polls, in the Winthrop poll, we saw Ralph Norman and Alan Wilson as essentially tied. Now that means Wilson has dropped down a little bit in our poll from some other recent polls. Why that's happened, you know, we can't say for sure. It could be because other candidates are beginning to get name recognition that they didn't have before. It could be because of the broadsides he's constantly taking from Nancy Mace. Either of those could be the explanation, but right now he is tied with Ralph Norman for essentially second place. When Alan Wilson and Ralph Norman finally unleash their campaign strategies, which they have not done yet, then everything is going to become very fluid again. So what Everett has done with her money, what Mace is doing with her money, all that is going to be mixed up once Norman and Wilson start spending, which they really have not done.
And Scott, like we're saying, 7 months away to the June 9th primary. Also found in your poll here that 46% of South Carolina voters are still undecided on the race. So a lot needs to happen between now and June 9th. But like you're saying, it's still very early. It's going to be very fluid once we see some more campaign spending pick up and campaigning take off. So what do you think that they need to do to really get those 46% to engage? Or is it going to be a matter of just kind of pounding the pavement, and once we get closer, like it naturally happens, more people will start paying attention to this race?
Well, one important thing is going to be Donald Trump's endorsement. We asked the question, how important is Donald Trump's endorsement to you, to these registered voters who are Republican? And when the folks who were very likely to vote in the Republican primary responded, nearly 80% said that Trump's endorsement was either very important or somewhat important. And that actually held true across those who were pretty likely to vote and just the Republicans who were registered. So Trump's endorsement matters. But you know, the other thing we found, Henry McMaster, among those people who have an opinion, among Republicans who have an opinion, McMaster's very popular. So if he weighs in, that could matter a lot too. If McMaster uses his popularity to weigh in and it's behind the same candidate that Trump weighs in on, that's going to carry a lot of weight. It'll be really interesting, actually, if McMaster and Trump back different candidates. But right now, we know from this poll that Republicans are looking to Donald Trump to see who he might endorse, and that's going to shake things up as well.
When we talk about Mace name ID and that favorability, we've seen some previous pollings that show that Nancy Mace does have a lot of strong name recognition, but her favorabilities tend to be underwater. So how do you kind of overcome that? Well, you're well known, but maybe not well liked.
Well, you also have to remember your target audience. So she is incredibly well known, but the things that might put her underwater with some groups, some constituencies, are actually likely to be an asset with the people who are most conservative, the furthest right Republicans who are going to show up to this primary. They really like hearing her, talk negatively about transgender issues or talk negatively about LGBTQ issues in general, talking hard talk about immigrants. So the things that might make her seem harsh and put her underwater with some constituencies could end up helping her with the only constituency that matters come June.
You can watch that entire interview on youtube.com/@South Carolina News. Or watch Twisk every Friday at 7:30 or Sunday at 1:30 p.m. on SCETV channels statewide. And yes, I did ask Scott about another Democrat in the race. Speaking of another Democrat in the race, Democratic Representative Jermaine Johnson of Hopkins is running for governor. He became the second Democrat in the race when he announced Tuesday at the State House.
And so today, as I stand here humble, asking for your support, I'm going to announce my candidacy for governor of South Carolina.
Johnson stood feet away from the governor's office on the first floor of the State House before a crowd of more than 250 supporters. The weather pushed the event inside from the State House steps and just down the stairs from the House chamber, where Johnson has represented District 52 in Lower Richland County since 2020. He recounted how he got there.
I went to 7 different high schools, but I remember the day I got that SAT score back and I knew it was high enough that I was going to college. I knew it was a new beginning for myself. And I got to college, and I was still considered a homeless student at the College of Charleston. My address was 1031 CFC Complex, Charleston, South Carolina. When my teammates were going home for Thanksgiving and Christmas and holidays, I was sleeping in the locker room. I was sleeping in the dorm rooms. I had nowhere to go. But I continued studying. I continued working hard, and I ended up graduating from the College of Charleston. I got drafted to go play basketball in the NBA D-League. Then I played basketball overseas in Brazil, Canada, Portugal, and Mexico. And then in 2015, after I had helped my brother come to Mexico with me, I got a call from a friend who said, "Hey man, your brother just died last night." That's when I decided to retire from basketball. That was the last year that I played basketball, because I wanted to come home to be with my wife, to be with my children, to raise my family. And when I got home, I had to go through some counseling because I was dealing with some PTSD. I was dealing with trauma. I didn't know how to really react to life outside of the trauma I was dealing with. And I went to counseling with my pastor, and he showed me a different way. He showed me some things. And that's when I really got involved. And then in 2019, I decided to run for office. And when I ran for office, you gotta understand what people said to me. You're too young. You're too inexperienced. You need to wait your turn. You're too black. You need to drop out. You're disrespectful. But I truly believe what God has for you is for you. I truly believe that. And he had a purpose for me. And when I ran, we unseated a 22-year incumbent to become the youngest and the first black to represent our district. We made history together.
Johnson is running on a platform of improving infrastructure, healthcare access, and the dismal welfare of the state, including the reduction of women's reproductive rights. All of this, he says, is because of more than 2 decades of Republican Party rule. Johnson already took aim at some of the Republicans in the race during his announcement.
Right now, we have 5 GOP candidates running to be the next governor of South Carolina. And one of them is more concerned about chasing cameras and DC politics than she is concerned about you. All 5 of the candidates on the other side are more concerned about serving Donald Trump than they are concerned about serving you. That is a problem. But I also believe this, y'all. I believe that tomorrow can be a brighter day.
Now, candidates for all races don't officially file for office until next March, and Johnson did not rule out also running for his House seat as well as governor. That's a bit of an insurance policy should he not win the primary or the governor's mansion, which a Democrat hasn't done since Jim Hodges did in 1998. The other Democrat in the race, Mullins McLeod, declared his candidacy in August with a focus on cleaning up Columbia. The Charleston trial lawyer, however, faces major challenges following his arrest this spring during an incident his lawyer called a mental health episode. Charleston police dashcam footage of the incident show McLeod incoherently rambling, making accusations, using vulgar words and threats against state and federal lawmakers, as well as a racial slur. Now, McLeod and Johnson will face off in June in the Democratic primary to decide who will become the nominee, and the winner will face off against whomever wins among the 5 declared Republicans in the race vying for their party's nomination. Speaking of, Republican gubernatorial candidate Alan Wilson, our attorney general, rolled out what he's calling the most aggressive law and order reforms in 100 years, with a specific focus on reforming the judicial appointment process in which the 124 House and 46 Senate members choose our judges.
What I am calling for today is that we reform the selection process for judges. The Judicial Merit Selection Commission, which is a system that is mostly controlled by the legislature. Last year, the governor was given some appointments on there. But the process for nominating judges should be completely under the executive branch of government. All of the commissioners that preside over that commission should be under the executive branch of government. All of the staff members who review the qualifications of candidates for judicial office should be under the executive branch of government, should be completely controlled by the executive branch of government, and then all of those nominations will go to the legislative branch of government. This is important because everyone can vote for their House member and their senator, but they cannot vote for the other 168 members of the General Assembly that weigh in on that. But everyone gets to vote for and against the governor. Everyone gets to weigh in directly on the executive branch. This is as close to the federal system as we can get under our current Constitution in South Carolina.
Wilson wants to see a stronger bond system, including no bond for violent or repeat offenders, ending cashless bail, and having judges justify release decisions for violent or repeat offenders. He also wants tougher penalties for child predators and repeat offenders, and wants to see the death penalty used for child rapists. For judicial reform, which is something Wilson has been a proponent of for years, he proposes the governor appoint all members of the Judicial Merit Selection Commission, move JMSC out of the legislative branch, and also add 1 additional circuit court judge per circuit that will be picked by the governor. This would increase judges from 16 to 32 and would help with case backlogs, he said. There would also be a judicial ruling transparency report that publishes sentencing patterns and rulings before reappointment votes of judges. Wilson had a press conference rolling out these proposals this week.
If you look around the state of South Carolina, there are circuits that are more rural and there are circuits that are more urban. You have situations in when you have 1 or 2 judges presiding over a 4 or 5 county circuit, and then you have other circuits where you have 5 or 6 judges presiding and holding terms of court in 1 or 2 counties. Oftentimes, the more rural counties get overlooked, and they have less resources, they have less ability to be able to move these cases. They have overcrowded jails that are tapping the resources in those areas. We also have a higher number of people in urban areas. So I believe by adding the number of judges by 16, we are going to create 16 additional terms of court that can move the backlog of violent criminal cases. I am asking the General Assembly to continue to fund my violent crimes case reduction unit so that we can continue to work with these new judges so that they can move the backlog of cases. Because at the end of the day, when a victim has to wait 3, 4, 5 years because of a violent crime that was committed against them or their family member, justice delayed to them is justice denied to them, and we can do better.
Judicial reforms will be one to watch here as all 5 Republicans have discussed the matter and would be a way for a future governor to wrest some power away from the legislature when it comes to judicial appointments. And all this talk about the campaign trail makes me want to talk to you about Election Day, which is Tuesday. Though a different Election Day, there are no major statewide or national races on our ballots this year. In fact, the biggest race you might have is a state house race being decided, or more likely, a municipal election. That's what's going to be on your ballot, including my ballot here in Columbia with the mayor's race and an at-large city council race. Early voting has already wrapped up, so that means voting at your polling place on Tuesday, folks. Do you know where your polling place is? Do you know who's on your ballot? You can find all that information and more at scvotes.org. Plug in your information, and you can get all those details right there. And real quick before we go, measles. Still a thing, very much so, in the upstate. The South Carolina Department of Public Health is adding 4 new confirmed cases of measles in Spartanburg County since Tuesday, bringing the total number of cases in South Carolina this year to 37, and the total number of cases in the current upstate outbreak to 34. The 4 new cases were linked to close contacts of known cases, and no public exposures have been identified from these cases. So that's a good sign right there from DPH, which has also activated a mobile health unit to deploy to locations in the upstate this week. This has been going on since October 16th, and the mobile health unit has administered 28 doses of the MMR vaccine so far, 23 to adults and 5 to children. So if you need that shot, check out Department of Public Health website. You can find locations for that mobile health unit. Welcome to the wind down section, our little break from the news. We're glad you're here, along with A.T. Shire, lead podcast producer.
Hello, everyone. I got to admit, Gavin, and to the listeners, last Friday I said have a spooky weekend because I was very sure that last week was Halloween.
And here we are going on week 2 or week 3 of Halloween.
Yeah. So it is actually Halloween right now, and will be through the weekend, I suppose.
Thank you.
Halloween parentheses observed.
Observed. Thank you. Happy Halloween, brother.
I just wanted to clear that up if you listened to last week's episode. But Gavin, we got a call. It's a little old, but it's still right there. It's very apropos to everything going on in the world.
I'll take it.
So if you're ready, here we go.
Yes.
Hey, this is Harrison down in Aiken, cruising around downtown in the 95 town car. Just wanted to call and make a quick comment on Gavin's description of fall in South Carolina as the Great Browning. We do have some great evergreen broadleaf plants around here. They're called camellias. And the South Carolina State Fair is actually having a camellia show this coming Friday. So maybe get out there and see some beautiful camellias. Love the show. Keep it up. Bye.
Harrison cruising around Aiken in that 95 town car. What a dream I'm being seen in my brain right now.
Absolutely spinning a story, an absolute wordsmith.
Is this the mayor of Aiken calling us right now?
I mean, it can't hurt. If not now, the future one probably.
Good to see everyone. Good to be seen. As he waves from the
we're going to start
car.
getting, it's like the Pope. We're going to start getting pictures of the 95 town car. Absolutely a stunning vehicle.
This just in, the lead is buying a 95 town car.
I honestly bet that thing is plush, dude.
The Jackson family used to have a town car.
I bet it's comfortable.
At 2000, I think.
Man, oh man, yeah.
It was gold. The trunk never latched.
It's not 95, okay? 2000 is not 95. I will say that, okay?
I'm sure they all have plenty of ashtrays.
I'm sure, yeah. More ashtrays than cup holders, to be sure.
Actually, that's going to rival the Jaguar.
The Jag's got 5
I guess the lead already has a town car if you think about it.
Well, it's a boat. Yeah, it's an absolute boat.
A land yacht, if you will.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Gavin, you're a big camellia camellia guy too.
Yes, the camellias. These have always brought me joy.
Solace in these hard times.
They at least bloom during like the sadness of the browning and the great cold that follows.
The great browning is terrible.
It's happening, and everyone's like, "Yay, spooky!" I have not been able to get out of bed.
No.
The depression
is bad.
Among so many things, but it just adds on.
Gavin, it's getting so bad that I saw something that I didn't want to see in one of Caitlin and Mai's other cars.
Is this worse? Oh, I was going to say, is this worse than the dude wipes, the pumpkin spice dude wipes?
Pumpkin spice dude wipes are a recession indicator. But so
For who, millionaires?
I have not I've not been driving one of our cars for a while.
One of our cars.
I got into it.
I can't even listen to
this. As a 3-car owner. One of them I have not been driving.
Household.
Caitlin's been driving it. I look into the cup holder and crunched down in the bottom. She forgot to clean up after herself. Was a Almond Joy Mounds wrapper. And Gavin, I can't tell you.
Was it empty?
It was empty.
Thank God.
I would have rather found a cigarette. Okay? I would have rather found out that...
What is this? What have you been doing?
I would have rather found out that Caitlin was smoking behind my back.
It's an Almond Joy.
It's that disgusting.
What did I say to you the other day when there's candy and radio? And I was like, ooh, an Almond Joy. Haven't seen one of these in a while. And you're like...
I badmouthed it then. It's such a bottom tier...
Have they brought anyone joy?
Yeah, no.
What did you say?
The absolute bottom tier candy.
Yeah,
absolutely
I was
disgusting.
Like, ooh.
Yeah.
It was, honestly...
That's what Gavin's fingers ding.
Yeah, the Kit Kat was much better than the Almond Joy.
Kit Kat's the
no $100,000.
Yeah, that's on Sean. He brought the candy. That's on producer Sean. And that's really tough. It's a tough look. But Gavin, to stick with spooky news.
Yes, please. This just in.
It sort of is just in. So for years, outside one of my doors, there has been like vermin poo. It's been like vermin poop, some scat, okay?
Outside of your doors,
and we've had Terminex for a while, and they go, oh, that's rats, okay?
Yeah.
And we're like, they were shocked that there was no rats sign inside, only outside this one single door. And so for a year, they've been setting rat traps at the squirrel. I've just been feeding squirrels. Rat poison does not kill squirrels. It somehow makes them
squirrels,
stronger.
Man, it never needs to make
okay?
strong. Get the gun, baby.
So we get rid of Terminex.
Doing it ourselves now.
We get a local guy to come in.
That's what you want.
He comes, he takes a look, he goes, that does not look like rat poop.
Dabs out cigarette.
Yeah, truly. And he looks up, he goes,
not what you think.
He's there for 20 seconds. He goes, I know what you have. Bats. So we have bats hiding inside the sides of our houses.
God.
In this one spot, pooping all over outside the door.
Have you heard anything?
No, they're out at night.
Nocturnal neighbors?
They're out at night. So we don't hear them. It's
like kids. They're out at, I don't know.
We got reverse schedules, us and the bats.
The guano.
The great white bat has great white guano, Gavin. Yeah. Ace Ventura 2 taught us a lot of things, most notably guano.
Watch out.
Filmed in South Carolina.
They're like, oh, I got this great 3-story. This guy has 3 luxury vehicles.
Also,
and these cats.
Explain this to me, Gavin, okay? When it was rats, supposedly rats, my parents were very fine with this. And as soon as they find out...
Now we're flying. I don't think so.
As soon as they find out it's bats, they go, oh, that's not good. Bats are dangerous.
Oh, God.
I said, bats didn't spread the plague, Dad.
Well, they do rabies if you get touched by one. You always want to get checked out. But
rats are worse.
Yeah, but rats are adorable.
Oh, you love a ratatouille?
Well, one's a flying version of the other. And I'm not talking about pigeons, though they are the same brethren, in my opinion.
Also,
I will say, when it comes to... I like them equally in that I don't really like them. You know what I mean? Like they're the same for me. However, when I'm in a big city, this is one of my favorite things to do.
On the subway tracks?
Is see the rats run somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether I'm walking down the street in Washington, D.C., which I did the other day, I saw plenty of rats and I was like, this brings me joy.
When you
you're in New Orleans,
of them, the size
and it's in the
them.
evening and you just peek through a restaurant window.
That's a big one.
And you
that's a big one. Yeah.
Now, the bats are okay, but yeah, when you get them in your house. But if they're in a crawl space, clearly they're not like dwelling in Rena's room, waiting for her to like go to sleep.
Correct. Yeah,
but they could be soon.
Also, just a quick update before we go. Rena's outfit: she is dressed as a cat in a golf caddy outfit. So she is a caddy.
You got the Masters caddy outfit, like little
with
cat ears,
with a whole cat
little workaround
underneath.
Is that called compromise in parenting? Is that what I'm learning?
I just think that is just good old-fashioned wordplay,
Thank
folks.
you.
Anyway, folks, have a good final spooky weekend. Gavin, stay strong, stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Enjoy those camellias. And, bro, Harrison in the 95 town car.
Thank you.
Keep going, brother.
They're calling us from like the mobile that's built into that console.
It was it was a car phone.
And he's still paying those fees. What a champion.
Good on you, Gavin.
$200 a month for this car phone. Does not get service outside of Aiken. Give us a shout like Harrison did. Call from your car if it's safe. We know he wasn't using a Bluetooth. Was he on Bluetooth?
There's no way. It's not possible.
Let's just through a cassette somehow. Call us back, Harrison. We have a lot of questions. 803-563-7169. And thank you guys, as always, for listening to the pod. You can stay up to date with the latest news on SCETV.org and SouthCarolinaPublicRadio.org. And don't forget to support your local newspapers. The South Carolina Lede is a production of South Carolina Public Radio. Our producer is A.T. Shire. Amy Crouch is our supervising producer. Sean Birch is our executive producer. This podcast is produced with support from PRX and is made possible in part by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, as well as listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina. For the South Carolina Lead, I'm Gavin Jackson. Be well, South Carolina.
Morning edition.
1 + 1 = 2, baby. Welcome to Morning Edition.
He's cooking, folks.